What is up, Pats Nation? It is Patriots Global here with another video, and no, this isn't clickbait. No, this isn't a lie. You read that title extremely correctly. Whether this is something you want to believe or not, the Patriots reportedly, by multiple sources, aggressively tried to trade for elite wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Now, last season, regular season and off season, there was a lot of drama surrounding Odell Beckham Jr. The Giants weren't able to get a new deal done with Beckham, so then they were going to trade him, then they said they weren't, but then they said they were again. They ended up getting a deal done with him, a pretty huge deal also. He ended up signing a 5-year contract extension that is a deal worth as much as $95 million, but includes $65 million guaranteed. Now, it's actually reported that the reason that the Giants actually decided to stop trade talks, because there were multiple teams having trade talks with the Giants for OBJ, but the Patriots were actually the top highest bidder. Meaning, out of all the teams that were pursuing the trade for Odell Beckham Jr., the Patriots were offering the strongest and just ultimately being the strongest candidate. Because of that, the Giants basically said, maybe we shouldn't trade OBJ. I mean, if the New England Patriots are trying to give us this much for him, obviously there's something about him that we can't give up. Now, it is not reported what exactly the Patriots were supposedly going to give up for him, but for a guy like OBJ, you're obviously looking at a first rounder and even more. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if a Patriots player was also involved in a possible trade. If you're a Patriots fan, then you know that they do not have a solid track record when it comes to actually drafting receivers. They found a greater deal in success, especially when you look at their best receivers in the Patriots dynasty history under the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady era, especially when it comes to veterans. I mean, you look at Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Brandon Cooks, Chris Hogan. So if the Patriots were willing to pull the trigger on a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. and make a trade for Odell Beckham Jr., the Patriots must have truly believed that Beckham would become a major difference maker. And, I mean, can you blame him? I mean, OBJ has found the success he's had with a guy like Eli Manning. Now, of course, I'm not trying to attack Eli Manning. He has not always been a bad quarterback, but obviously in recent years, he has without a doubt not performed up to par. And if you mix the undeniable talent that Beckham has combined with a quarterback like Tom Brady in a system like Bill Belichick and the Patriots, you can't even deny the unstoppable power that the Patriots would have had. You then add the fact of them having Sony Michel, having the fact of James White, Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski. This would have been a blockbuster trade that people would have been talking about for years. Now, while Beckham's talent definitely would have fit with the Patriots, the bearing question is his personality. Would that fit the Patriots' way? Former NFL wide receiver Chad Johnson was required to check his personality at the door when he was traded by the Bengals in 2011. And he promptly struggled in his short time in New England, and there could be worry that Beckham could have those same issues. Way too many people just look at talent and go from there, basing off of he will work for a team or he will not work for a team. But if there's one thing us Patriots fans have learned, it's that personality plays so much into how a guy would fit with a team. What I cannot stress enough is how serious this trade was. The only reason this trade didn't happen, the only reason it didn't go through, was on the Giants' part. It wasn't the Patriots. The Patriots didn't drop out. The Patriots didn't elect to just move on from the Beckham trade. It was the Giants' second thinking about what they were doing and realizing, okay, we cannot trade this guy. For anybody that follows both Tom Brady and Odell Beckham Jr., you know that these two are pretty close, and the respect level that they have for each other is unbelievable. Tom Brady is always posting on OBJ's posts, and OBJ is doing the same thing on Tom Brady's. They're constantly commenting on each other's stuff. It's like they have a bromance going on, except they're not on the same team. TB12 recently posted a picture on Instagram of his 3 kids with the caption saying, "Good night, son." OBJ commented on this post saying, "Love you, brother." Somebody then comments back to OBJ saying, "Can't stop the love at OBJ, make it happen at Patriots." Now, this isn't something that happened months ago, weeks ago. This is something that happened within the past couple of days. And let me tell you, fans and the media are going crazy yet again. But this isn't the first time we've seen stuff like this. There's been many times that we have seen Tom Brady doing this on OBJ's posts, OBJ doing this on Tom Brady's post, kind of having this unspoken language back with each other, kind of like an encrypted message that us fans sometimes take out of play, but also sometimes don't put in play enough. We all know that earlier in this season, right before the trade deadline, the Patriots were believed to be really trying to make a push for an elite wide receiver. Who would have known that one of those guys would have been Odell Beckham Jr.? Now, there is some belief that OBJ could possibly be on the trade block yet again this offseason, but in my personal opinion, I don't feel as if he is going to get traded. I think you're asking for a lot to have OBJ traded. It came close. You see what he was giving up. Teams obviously wanted him, and the Giants realized, all right, this isn't a smart move. So this is something I doubt actually does happen, but crazy how close it actually was. With the kind of money OBJ is now making with his new contract, there's no way the Patriots could just handle that type of money. There are more important positions that the Patriots currently have that they need to fill than signing a wide receiver for as much as OBJ has. There are a lot of good wide receivers that are going to be free agents on the market. The Patriots will not have to give up anything and can sign these guys on their terms. So, long story short, don't expect this to be a trade that actually happens, but it's just something really interesting to look back on, both at a standpoint of actually having OBJ on the Patriots, but from a standpoint of how much the Patriots were actually trying to add an elite wide receiver to the team. But that is it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on OBJ to the Patriots? Crazy. Let me know in your comments below. Also, while you guys are at it, please make sure you like and subscribe, as it helps me out very much. Make sure you guys share this video with everybody who knows who can go to the Patriots Global family. And other than that, I will catch you guys in another video.